We
Absolutely.
know that Mike Elias in the first round over the last few years has had a tendency to go with well-established college bats. We saw it with Adley Rutschman, Heston Kjerstad, Colton Cowser. But if the right high school bat is there, the Orioles have shown that they will go with the right high school bat, whether it be Jackson Holliday. Later in the rounds, they took Gunnar Henderson. They took Darrell Hernandez in the 5th round a few years ago, who, of course, is with the Athletics now, but was...
He still made that choice.
Yeah, still made that choice. It was the right high school bat.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that, yes, maybe the tendency over the last few years for, this draft operation has been to take well-established college hitters. But if the right high school bat is there, Elias has said, yeah, we have had success and have loved to take high school hitters before. He has had a ton of success with it, with Gunnar Henderson, with Carlos Correa in Houston as well. So I'm not closing the door to that possibility at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely there. And like you said, if that bat's there, why not pull the trigger on it? I feel like a high school arm is a totally different beast, There's so much developing that goes in to pitching that, not that there isn't in hitting, but I always feel like it's a longer road when you have a pitcher that you like his stuff, you like his strikeout numbers, but that ERA is high. It's going to be a long journey for that guy to get to a big league level. For a hitter, well, you still have to face the competition and whatnot. Facing high school pitching and mashing is a lot different than just beating up high school hitters. Because pitching's easier. It just is. Baseball's a hard sport. It's hard to hit that ball. And when guys can do it at the high school level, it's a good chance they're going to be able to do it in the minors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's get into a little bit more of the, kind of the nitty-gritty, the player profile that Brad Ciolek got into. In terms of college hitters, the two biggest things that he pointed out last year as hitter profiles that they tended to look at were solid power numbers and good strikeout to walk ratios. We saw that with Adley Rutschman, with Heston Kjerstad, with Colton Cowser. Colton Cowser didn't have a ton of power, but the plate discipline, the swing decisions were so good, and he had such good gap-to-gap power, they knew the power would be able to develop in the minor leagues. Heston Kjerstad was a massive power bat in the SEC when he was in Arkansas. They had the shortened season that year, but Heston Kjerstad was tearing the cover off the ball for that season. And again, wasn't striking out a ton. And then Adley Rutschman was just, he had everything in a college bat.
All right. I mean, there's not a lot more you have to say.
Exactly. But all of those college hitters, even if you want to look, kind of later in the rounds, I mean, Judd Fabian put up great power numbers at Florida.
Absolutely.
Max Wagner put up great power numbers at Clemson. Dylan Beavers, they knew the power would develop because of the frame, because of the tweaks that they could make to his swing. That seems to be the formula for drafting college hitters. Good power numbers, good strikeout numbers.
Well, while I was looking into those picks and looking at what probably attracted Elias and the rest to look at those guys, that's what jumped out at me was they didn't pick pretty good hitters when it came to their college bats. They picked guys that mashed, that absolutely tore the cover off the ball. Guys who hit 415, guy like Connor Norby, and guys who had crazy power numbers. And even if the average was a little bit lower, Judd Fabian, he wasn't hitting for average around 239. He was still slugging near 600. So that's the kind of thing they look for, and that's the kind of thing that works, especially in this day and age in baseball when the game has shifted towards home runs more than singles, unless you're Luis Arias. That's what works, and I think it's really smart of them to be going after those guys and following those trends, and I honestly can't believe other teams aren't doing it.
Yeah, and even outside of the power numbers, I mean, the plate discipline always plays. We're seeing that right now with Jackson Holliday. We have seen it throughout the minor leagues with, Colton Cowser. We keep going back to these top picks, but the plate discipline always plays in the minor leagues. It is an organizational philosophy that we have talked about for the last few years here of swing decisions. It's only going after and swinging at balls that are going to hit the med ball and only swinging at pitches that you can really do damage with. Even if they're borderline strikes, not swinging at those and having weak contact. If it's a pitch you can do damage with, then you swing because you'll take some, strikes on the outside corner.
And that's a big league skill.
Right. Absolutely. But they're doing it now in the Florida Complex League, in Delmarva, in Aberdeen, and these guys are getting to AA Bowie and AAA Norfolk with that plate discipline, with the swing decisions under their belt to the point where they get to the majors and they have better strikeout to walk ratios. They have improved swings. They have improved plate discipline. And if you're able to draft that, if you're able to draft guys with that profile, it goes a long way to get guys to buy into that philosophy if they already had it coming into the draft.
No, I totally agree. That plate discipline is something that is invaluable in a prospect because not everybody has it. You could see a guy's numbers and see that he has this many home runs. His average is so high, but if his walk numbers aren't good, then there's a red flag. Doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad prospect, but for the Orioles, a team that are looking for guys who are going to fit that mold, plate discipline is so important, and it's already shown that it's worked in so many of the guys that they've taken, like we've mentioned.